Hello, welcome to this Novus Orbis combo-based deck-building roguelike game. The game is out on Steam as an early access right now. If you guys click or check out the game, the link is in the description. So, 0.1.6 update, general game difficulty rebalance, and new blessings. So, it actually took me a while to find all new blessings, so that's why my video is kinda late. So, I'm just gonna go over the patch note today, so no actual gameplay here, so keep that in mind. So, here we go. Hello, I've come to the realization that while hardcore players seem to have fun with the game in its current state, some of the choices I made create a thick wall for new players. This update goes to hopefully address this issue. Easy mode was there just for people who are having hard time with the difficulty I consider normal for my game, but it turns out most people would rather fail 100 times than probably quit, rather than setting a game to easy mode, and to be honest, I will be one of them. So I made a big change to how the game handles difficulty for new players. The game will now start in what used to be easy mode. From now on, I will refer to it as normal mode. Once the player wins the game once, they will be presented with the option to activate hard mode, what was currently the normal game difficulty. Once the game is cleared twice, either in normal or hard mode, the player will be presented with the challenges selection screen on a new run with one challenge unlocked if the game was cleared in hard mode. This change won't impacting existing player, but hopefully new players will have a smoother beginning. I'm also adding 3 new blessings and the usual difficulty balance and bug fixes. So let's take a look at the new blessing. So it took me a while to find all these new blessings. So first things first, the courage, you have to unlock this blessing with the achievement. So the previous achievement was that you unlock the easy mode by losing the game twice. But since they removed the easy mode, they replaced with the blessing instead. So if you lose the game twice, you unlock the courage blessing. So courage, heal 10 HP every time you receive negative status. 10 HP healing in the early game is pretty big deal, but you probably don't want to get this later stage of game. The craving, when you would gain monster blood, gain 5 more. That's pretty good economic blessing, but you have to get this early, otherwise you're not gonna get a lot of benefit. So yeah, pretty good blessing, but you have to get this in the early game basically. Red Eye, skipping card rewards gives you 10 monster blood. Again with the skipping card, huh? Yeah, I don't think this one is that good. Only gives you 10 monster blood, but you have to skip the card. And there's also another blessing that if you skip the card reward, that like it heals you or increase your max HP like that. But most cases you don't want to skip the cards, so this blessing doesn't seem that good. And 10 monster blood is not really worth the skipping the card reward in my opinion. So maybe buffing the blood amount just a bit, maybe 50, maybe 100. Even then I would just get the card rather than skip the card in my opinion. I mean, that's just my opinion. So, anyways, let's take a look at the changes here. So, rework the game's difficult for new player. Added 1 paid item card to the possible initial reward. Note that the selection won't contain Mimic because it's slightly stronger than other pet, and full Flora Sanctum, so there's already chance to get them from the bird event. Future pets will be added to this world. So, if you cleared like at least first stage, if you restart the game you can start the game with additional reward basically, and now we can start with the pet item card as well. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good change, but you still have to find the fancy bottle, so it's either to get the fancy bottle or a pet item card basically. But that's still good change. That's still good change. So, achievement, since I removed the easy mode from the game, I had to change what is unlocked when losing 2 times. So yeah. Now the achievement, you can do it, will unlock new blessing courage. Balance challenge 5 will now give a choice between 3 operation cards and you have to pick only one. And that's also pretty good change too, because you used to get 2 random operation cards with that, and some operation card was just way too difficult to deal with in the early game. So now with this change, yeah, it's more viable. So you can pick the one that you can sort of like deal with in the early game, and since you're only picking one, you can remove it in the early game as well, so that's pretty good. In the first level, both the hurt creature and bird event have now 50% chance of not being in the event pool. Okay, now things are more randomized. The problem with this change is that kinda means you are more likely to get Agile Observer event in the early game. And that event is kinda difficult if you don't have the right card. So I don't know, things are more random, but personally, this is not a good change for me. Because I usually rely on the hot creature and the bird defense a lot in the early game. So personally not a good change, but I can see why they're changing it though. Yeah. Balance normal mode, previous easy mode, additionally to give you 5 SP and making it weaker. We will now also not include mimics. Moreover, the loose blood fixes are replaced with the healing one. Okay, so loose blood fixes are replaced with the healing one. That's fine. I think that one's fine. Everything else is okay, but not including mimic for the easy, like a normal. So previous easy mode basically. So normal mode, that's not good. Because there are a couple of achievements that you, I mean, from my experience, I would suggest that you want to get the achievement done in the normal mode, the previous easy mode basically. But if the normal mode does not include mimics anymore, so it's basically impossible for you to get the third pet if you cannot encounter mimic in the normal mode. And also, without the mimic, it's gonna be more difficult to scale your HP. So some achievement in the normal mode is just gonna be impossible to do right now because of this change. So personally not a fan of this change. So I think they just should include the mimic in the easy mode. But basically normal mode. Otherwise, HP scaling and some achievement just becomes way too difficult for you to get. I mean, you can still do it in the hard mode, not impossible, but personally, when I just want to have some fun, I just go for the normal mode. So with this change, I probably have to play the hard mode if I want to like actually test something basically. So personally, not a good change. Hopefully they rebut this change, because I mean I can see why, because when you start the game for like the first time, or a couple of times in the early game, the mimic can be really tricky to deal with. But once you get used to the game, mimic is kind of like the power spike and bonuses that you can get. So not having that in the normal mode, personally not a fan. Not a fan. So I mean that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. So nuclear blast now multiply each element times 10 instead of 2. Falls out of combo raised to 9. So it's basically impossible to use outside of the combo. But they buff the damage basically. So that was like a 250 damage because it's times 2, right? But now it's times 10. Holy, hold on. So the base damage you can get 10 times 10, that's 100. Hold on, that's 100? 10 times 10, like hold on, 50. 50 times 50. That's 500, right? It's times 10, so 500 times 5, that's 2,500 base damage. That's crazy. I mean, I was kind of hoping they just lower the requirements just a bit instead of buffing the damage. But now this card is more interesting. That's gonna be like a huge damage. But you still have the same requirement and you just can't use it outside the combo because they changed the cost to 9. So you have to use it on the combo 4 no matter what. And you still have the same requirement. So it's still very difficult to use, but the damage is probably worth it now, so that's gonna be interesting. So enemy decrease Pawned Monarch second form damage. Pawned Monarch is kind of difficult hidden boss that you can fight, so I'm kind of glad they are nerfing the Pawned Monarch. Dread Spinner will now be able to spawn next 2 eggs for 5 in total. Interesting, so So now I cannot do the exploit anymore, huh? I guess that's what it means, huh? The previously you can like force the dread spinners to spawn the egg, and you kill the dread spinners egg, and you let them spawn the egg, and you kill the dread spinners B, and you let the dread spinners B spawn the egg. So C move on to D, E, F, G, and you just keep going. You just keep going, and you can just farm infinite amount of monster blood out of them. So now you cannot do that anymore. Huh. Ah, that's shame. That is shame. Because there was an exploit that you can do. Hmm. But hold on. But since the dread spinners spawn the egg, they still count as a different dread spinners, right? Or does that not matter? I don't know. I think I have to test this. Blessing remove image from 45 description. Do I change the color for some keyword like burn to match the same color of the status keyword for better readability? Card and blessing them mention affliction and special card. Also show tooltip that gives a short explanation about them. That's pretty good. Increase the space between name and description for blessing and status tooltip. When winning on run, the scope page will now give you only the option to go to the main menu and not restart. The speed selector can now be clicked even when the game is in no input state. Got it. And a couple of bugs you see. Fix the bug where when opening and closing the drawer or discard pile, while you should be choosing a card to discard or burn or copy, card will be played instead of supposed function. There was a bug that I encountered as well, so I'm glad this one's fixed. Fix the fact that drawing paper airplane twice in a single draw would lock the game on the next draw. Okay, that's interesting. I just don't use the paper airplane that much, so I didn't encounter the bug, but okay, that does make sense though. Fix the bug that would reset the combo state of the game when out tapping. Yeah, that was another bug that I experienced as well. Fix a bug that would lock the games trying to draw cards forever when using a conic card. Bite mark card would show great strength tooltip for no reason. Fixed. Yeah, that was another one that I encountered as well. Okay, aside bug fixes, I think I will finally start to focus on making a new level, as well as implementing the system I have in mind for branching levels in the world plan. So it may take a while until the next official update. If you want to follow my progress more closely, I will post that in the Discord server. And that's about it. So that's it for this update. So yeah, lots of changes. Lots of changes. Personally, not a fan of the normal mode change that much. So if that does not include Mimic, it'll be more difficult to get some of your achievement in the easy mode. And also, yeah, when you just want to have some fun, I just go for the easy mode. But now I can't do that anymore because without the Mimic, you can't really power spike in the early game. And also, getting the HP scaling gonna be more difficult without the Mimic. So it is possible for you to lose against the final boss if you don't have enough max HP. So that's gotta be an issue. So beside from that, I think I kind of like the changes, but that one change I just don't agree with. But that's just my personal opinion. So, anyways, so that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care. Bye.